Hello, I'm Julien Dubois and I am here to show you how easy it is to git push your application to production on Azure thanks to NubesGen. When I say git push, I mean two things. First, we're going to generate your Azure infrastructure using Terraform, and two, we're going to deploy your application to that infrastructure using a GitHub action. This all looks a little bit complicated, but thanks to NubesGen, everything is fully automated, and that's going to be very fast and easy. So let's get started. Let's go to NubesGen.com and let's have a look at how this all works. So here is NubesGen.com. If you want to do the same thing as what we're going to do right now, you can go to our documentation here, and we've got a tutorial for using Docker, Java, Spring Boot, .NET, or Node.js. So whatever is your tool or framework of choice, we've got you covered here normally. I'm going to use Spring Boot right now because I'm a Spring Boot developer, but it's all going to work basically the same, whatever the tool or the framework that you want to use. For Spring Boot, I'm going to use a sample application that is generated by Gipster, which is a great code generator for Spring Boot application. And it has got a sample application, which is here. So that's the default sample application. You can go to Gipster/Gipster sample app, and it's a fairly popular sample application. It has got more than 1,000 GitHub stars, so a lot of people are using it to work and learn. So you need to fork it. And once you fork it, you're going to download it using git clone on your laptop. And so here is my application open up in IntelliJ. Now, what I want to do is take that application and deploy it to Azure thanks to NubesGen. For this, I'm going to go to the NubesGen website, and I'm going to answer a few questions. First of all, the name of the project. I'm going to keep the default name here. The region I want to deploy to. So I live in Paris, so this is why I'm selecting Paris. My application is a web application. We support here many different options. So you need to select the right one depending on what you are building. Here my application is a Spring Boot Java application that is built with Maven. That's why I'm selecting this. And I'm going to select the standard tier here. That application uses a database, which is PostgreSQL, and I'm going to select the basic tier here. I can choose many more options and add-ons like blob storage, Redis cache, MongoDB. What is interesting for me right now is to select GitOps here. So I'm going to open up the documentation here. GitOps is a practice that is more and more popular, that is meant to automate the deployment of your application to production. We're going to configure that in a minute. And now that everything is set up, I can download my configuration files by clicking on this button, or I can use the curl command here to automate this, which is what I prefer to do. So I'm going to do that. Now let me go back to my IntelliJ IDE. I'm going to open up the terminal and paste the curl command. What this command is doing is that it's going to download my configuration. Let's have a look at what was created here. So we've got a new Terraform folder here with two modules, one for app service and one for PostgreSQL. So if I open up this one, for example, we've got some Terraform code here that is used to generate the infrastructure for my project. And the second thing that was created is a GitHub action, which is called gitops.yaml. And that YAML file is here to deploy your application to production. For this, it's going to use your Azure credentials. So that's the one thing that we need to configure before everything is finished. For that, let's go back to our quick start here. I open it up, the GitOps quick start guide here. I encourage you to read all this tutorial, but what is important to know here is that you need to have the Azure CLI installed on your laptop. And it's optional, but it's better to have also the GitHub CLI installed on your laptop. It will make things a little bit easier. Once everything is done, all you need to do is run that script. So I'm going to copy it and paste it here. And that script is going to authorize GitHub Actions to run configuration scripts on Azure, and that will allow it to generate my infrastructure for me. It's going to take a few seconds to run, so let's just wait a little bit until it's finished. So my script is finished. Let's have a look at how everything is going to work now because everything is fully configured. For this, we're going to use Git branches to deploy our application, and we're going to create different branches depending on what we want to do. So let me use the Git command line to create some new branches. So let's create a new branch called env dev. So the prefix here, env, is mandatory with NubesGen, and dev is the name of your environment. So here I am creating, in fact, a dev environment. So I'm just going to check out it. I'm going to add my code in it and commit it. Go to production. And I'm going to git push it using, of course, my new upstream. So here I have a development environment in which I am working and I am pushing my code to it. I can create another environment. If I create a new branch called prod, this is a new branch, and I can also here git push that branch. And maybe, of course, modify some stuff because I'm in production. So here I've got two branches and I'm just pushing them to Git. And that's all I do. And in fact, I'm already on Azure with both branches in two separate environments. Let's have a look at what's happening behind the scenes here. If we go to our application, if we go to the Action tab here, we can see we've got different GitHub actions which are running. There's one which is called GitOps and one which is called Application CI. So the Application CI has got nothing to do with NubesGen. It's the CI code that is coming with that sample app. That second GitHub action, however, comes from NubesGen. It's called GitOps. If we go there, we can see that this GitHub action is doing, in fact, three things. It is first generating an infrastructure using Terraform. Secondly, it is building my application using Maven because it's a Java application. And once both of those steps will be finished, it will deploy everything to Azure. Let's click a little bit on both of those steps. The important one for NubesGen is this one, the Manage Infrastructure step. This step is setting up Terraform, initializing it, and applying it on our infrastructure on Azure. The second step here, the build one, is building my application with Maven. So that's a standard step coming from my application. There is nothing really specific on NubesGen here. Once everything will be finished, everything will be deployed to the cloud. Let's go to the Manage Infrastructure step again, and let's wait a little bit until everything is finished. This is going to take some time here because so we are creating two things. First of all, we're creating an application service, which is rather fast. It's less than 1 minute. And second thing is that we are creating a database. And well, as we can see right now, the database is going to take 4 or 5 minutes. It depends, of course, on the Azure region you are in and on the tier that you have selected. So we just need to wait a little bit. And so the Manage Infrastructure step has been finished. Let's have a quick look at what has happened. So this step has created a database for me. It has opened up the firewall to the database for my application. It has then created my application service, and it has also configured that application service to be able to connect to the database. That's why in Spring Boot, I will not have to configure anything. Everything is going to work out of the box because everything is pre-configured here. Now that my Manage Infrastructure step has been finished and my build step has been finished, my code is going to be deployed now to production, and I will just need to click on the URL of my app to be able to access it. Let's just come back here to get the URL. At the end of the Apply Terraform step, we've got a URL here, and when everything is deployed, I will be able to click here and have my real app. At the moment, it's not running yet. You remember that we created two environment, one for production and one for development. This is the production one. I've got prod here in my URL. If I select dev, I will have access to my development environment instead. So let's just wait a little bit and have a look at both of those environments and how we can work with them together. And here is the application in production. I can log in and play around with it if we want to, of course. Admin. And this is the production application running with the PostgreSQL database. I can create here, for example, a new bank account with some money in it. And everything is running. If I want to switch to the development account, I just change here the URL, and here I will have access to the development version of my app. Here it is. I need, of course, to sign in here to have access to it. We have seen here that I set up 2 environments very easily, and now all I need to do to change them is to go here to my code, and I can just change any Java code or HTML code, and I will just git push, and everything will be deployed to production automatically after my git push in those 2 separate environments. Now let's have a look at what has been created inside the Azure portal. Again, you don't need to go there to use NubesGen. I've done everything without even knowing anything about the Azure portal, but of course, if you are an Azure user, you will want to have a look at what we have done here. So let's go to portal.azure.com and let's have a look at the 2 resource groups that have been created. So NubesGen created here 2 resource groups, one which is called demo with some numbers dev001, and one which is the same with prod. So the second one is our production environment and the first one is our development environment. They are both the same here. So let's just have a look at the first one. We can see that inside that resource group, we've got an app service, which is an app service plan and a PostgreSQL database server. And if we click on our app service, if we go to configuration, those environment variables are specific to Spring Boot because we have selected Spring Boot earlier, and that's why everything is working out of the box without me configuring anything. So I hope I have convinced you that using NubesGen is very easy and useful for deploying your application to production. Again, we have been able to do everything without knowing about Terraform, the Azure portal, GitHub Actions, or anything. So it's very easy if you are just starting and learning about all of those. Then if you are an advanced user, there's a second level of usage for NubesGen. You can access our GitHub action, which is here. You can also access our Terraform code, which is here. And you can tweak all of them if you want to. For example, here with PostgreSQL, I believe that this storage amount is too low. I want to have something bigger. Well, I just modify that number. When I will git push, my GitHub action will automatically apply that change to my infrastructure and everything will be deployed again. So it's very easy for me as an advanced user to modify anything and have the full power of Azure. So it's also a great tool for people who are advanced users and who want to have a good starter for the application. If you look at the code that has been generated here, we have carefully crafted it with Azure experts from Azure, like myself, and also with people from HashiCorp, the maker of Terraform. So this should be a very good starting point if you are an advanced user and want to use Terraform and already know how to use it. Thanks a lot. And if you want more information or if you want to join our community, which is building up on NubesGen, well, please go to the NubesGen website. Please go to our GitHub repository. Please star it if you like it. And let's talk again soon. Thank you.